Welcome back to Skipper Al's channel. Things are looking good around here. Got the intake off again because this is the episode we're doing Terminator loose wires. Everything you need to know about where to put your Terminator wires. I did a little bit of research. It's so straightforward. That's why I love the Terminator, but lots of people got crazy ideas about where to wire in your switched power, where to wire in your trigger power, and all the other ones. So I'm going to clear that up with everybody, make this so simple because it is. So I guess I'll start with the trigger wire because we're standing here. So if you haven't seen the past video, we got our Terminators all run. We got it through the firewall here. We're going to put our plate back up and notch it and stuff so this all fits nice, but we're still doing wiring. So as you can see, it goes through there right down to where my glove box is. And yeah, so most of your loose wires, the loose wire ends that you have to wire in for the Terminator are going to go through there. But I'm going to start out here because this is already sitting here. So this is coming from our starter. This is our trigger wire to trigger the starter to start the engine, so we can go whap whap whap. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it into the cab. I'm going to run it all the way to the other side of the cab by the driver's seat, and then there's actually a passageway in this box. This is your ECU box in the engine bay. There's a passage from inside by the driver's seat. If you look up next to the clutch pedal, or the brake, yeah, next to the clutch pedal, and you have a light in here, you'll actually be able to see the light and easily pass a wire through. So I'm going to show you where there's a triggered key on and cranking 12 volt power. So for the trigger wire, you only want power going to this trigger wire when your key is in full cranking mode. So I'm just trying to make sure that you guys can see this. So if you're looking back at the window here, there's this little black plug. And on this little black plug, there's a bunch of spades that come out. If you look to the very back driver's side corner, so closest to the driver's side, furthest back, there's a spade there. That one is trigger power. So when you got your key in full crank position, you got 12 volts coming out there. So we're just going to run the wire through the cab so we don't have to run it across the firewall here, because I like things to be clean. And we're just going to, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some rubber caps to cap the other ones that might be in close contact, and we're just going to put a spade connector right on there. So that's your trigger wire, and it's done. Once you've done that, I highly suggest just getting a voltmeter and getting a buddy to sit in the car and cranking it and verifying that yes, you have 12 volts in crank mode. So that's super simple. That goes right to your starter. So then we're going to make our way inside the cab here, where it looks like a mess, but it's really not. So here you can see in my firewall, this is where the glove box is. That's where everything comes through. I'm gonna get, yeah, that's a better light, less penetrating. That's where the harness comes through. Here's our harness end. We're gonna drill some holes in our glove box, and we're gonna have our Terminator in the glove box. But here's all the loose wires that come out of the Terminator harness. So the first thing that you'll see in the instructions for loose wires is red and white. Red and white is your switched power. So when you want, this is basically what tells your computer to turn on. when you turn your key into the accessory mode. So your switch power needs to have power when the key is in the accessory position and while cranking. Super simple. So in E46 it's even simpler. We're gonna drop down our fuse box here in the glove compartment, and so this whole bottom row is always got power, and the whole top row is switched power. You can see there's a couple spots, if you look closely inside, where there's empty fuses. You can see there's like 2 spots where there is a spade coming out and there's power coming there. So you just get a fuse doubler. I'll show you what that is in a sec if you don't know what it is, and you stick it in there and you wire your switched power to that. Super simple. Your switch power is done, your trigger power is done. Theoretically, your computer will turn on and you can turn the engine over with those 2. Well, also you'll need this ground. So that's one of the other wires. There's a black wire. So I'll just start from the beginning here, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Red and white, that's your switched power. Black is your ground for your harness. So there's one thing I noticed in this area is there actually isn't really many bolts, or there's all that like sound deadening on the firewall. Like there's really not any good places to ground to. So I'm actually gonna go take that wire back out into the on the other side of the firewall, and there's a bolt there. I'm just gonna ground it there, but you can ground that wherever the heck you want. It has a bunch of requirements for grounding, but at the end of the day, a ground's a ground. You usually want to have it closer to your ECU as possible, but ground's a ground, so that's done. Your green wire is your signal wire for your fuel pump, or if you're running a fuel pump that draws less than 15 amps, you can run this right to your fuel pump. But in our case, I'm running a relay because I have a bigger power wire going to my fuel pump. So we're going to run this to our relay. That's our relay trigger, is the green wire. The solid red wire is fuel pump power and injector power. So this is what power, this is basically the power for your injectors and fuel pump. I guess it takes power from the battery and then goes through the ECU and does some weird stuff and some magic, and then comes back in this green wire. And I thought, well, why? That's kind of silly, but it makes sense that it's injectors too. So this is really important, and it's really important that you run it right to your battery, because it asks for that. And one thing I've learned with this stuff is follow the instructions. This needs to go to your battery. It's already got a fuse in the harness close to the end there. It's all tucked away, but that's already fused. You can run that right to your battery, and you have to run it right to your battery. And then that's friggin' it. That's all you need to do to wire it in this Terminator. Super simple. Should take me like, I don't know, maybe half an hour tops to put all these wires away nicely and get everything done. Another thing I did was my digital screen, the setup wizard and all that stuff. It's just sitting on my dash there, but I ran a wire through the dash. It pops out here, and the plug for it in the harness is just on the other side of the firewall. So we're gonna plug that into. And yeah, super simple. I'll show you what this little fuse doublers look like if you've never used one before. I think they're great. Probably get them at your local automotive shop or whatever, but it's just a little Pico sort of product of some sort. But basically you plug that into a fuse, and then you get 2. So you get a fuse for the thing that you stole away from, and another fuse for whatever you want. And whatever you want has this power thing here. So this is what we're going to use to hook right up to our switched power in that fuse panel. Super clean. Everything's fused. Everybody's happy. And yeah, so I guess that's it for that. So I'm going to get to work you'll see me doing some running around and some really high speed work because I'm really fast. And then I'll just do a quick walkthrough with you guys when I'm done. Cheers. Ready. Wiring is complete. It looks like a mess right now, but it's actually all very well organized. Everything's stuffed back there, nice, tucked in behind. Everything's going through there. I'll show you where I put my ground for the Terminator. You can see it there, right in the back. Nice little bolt there. Over here, got my wire, trigger wire all ran. It's right there in the bottom right corner. Nice insulated fitting there. Insulated, heat shrink and spade connector. So trigger's done. CAN bus is all hooked up in there. The CAN bus for the Terminator screen and ground is in there. And then we ran our wires for the fuel pump and the injector slash fuel pump power. I literally just ran it down this trim here, like inside. If you feel up underneath, you can feel the wires there. Also the Terminator main power wire is in there as well, so that worked out really well. And then in our fuse panel here, there's my doubler, my fuse doubler, going to switched power for the Terminator. And another thing I did is I ran a vacuum hose in here for the map sensor that's on the Terminator. So everything's in here. Our only extra wire is this blue one for the tachometer output, which we're not going to use because it shows it on the screen anyways. So yeah, everything is wired as far as loose ends go on the Terminator. So I've really been procrastinating that just because it really sucks hanging out down there and going. I mean, I'm pretty lucky with the hoist. I can at least stand, but up and down and back and forth, and all the wires are good back here. See, I got fuel pump relay wire comes in here for the main power onto the fuel relay. We got our main power for the Terminators there as well, and the power we just ran from the Terminator for the fuel pump. And then, oh, look at that, I'm not done. The last wire I forgot to do, which was blue, or sorry, green. The green one I was showing you, but I ran out of green, like, length, so I had to add this red stuff. But I have to wire, that's our signal wire from Terminator, which we got to just add right to that guy, and then that's done. But yeah, I'll finish that up quick, and then I'm gonna get the fuel lines done, because that's another thing that I've been procrastinating doing, just because I hate A&N fittings. Mainly because I don't have the proper tools for them. So I always F them up. Anyways, I'll finish that up quick, and then we'll lift the car up and I'll show you what I'm gonna do for the fuel lines. I kind of switch things up a little bit here. Okay, this is probably the best place to show you this, but so here's my Y. Filter's coming out, and then this Y kind of sits up on top of the trans, and then it splits off. This goes to the bank 1, this goes to bank 2. I haven't put this end up on yet because it's going to be easier to do when it's up there. But basically, it'll sit like that. It kind of points to one and then points perfectly over to the other one. So I thought that was the best way to show you what I did here. I'll show you when it's done and in the car. And there we have it. It's coming up. on this is the even side, odd side, and then down there you can see how my T splits just as it comes up the trans perfectly to this side and to that side. So those fuel lines are done. That's awesome. We can keep moving forward here, one step at a time. I also picked up this, oh shoot, I'm gonna run out of battery here. So I'll make this quick. I picked up this Catchcan from Amazon, Evil Energy. They're super cheap. They're gonna work for us. We're gonna mount it right here, or something along the lines of that, right around there. And a couple hoses. Bob's your uncle. It almost might even just sit like there, just like that. Okay, well, I'll get some brackets going here and see what I can make up. Okay, so really jumping ahead here. I finished this. It's all mounted in there, isolated in one spot. I just made a little bracket. Bolts to the head there. Found this little filter thingy upstairs. Just normal push-on hose, but I dressed her up just because it looks nice. And then I got really carried away and did this. So the front end's pretty much back together. Rigged up the power steering oil cooler, which has been repurposed from the Escalade. So that's cool. If you got a truck, they got some nice oil coolers in there, and I just strapped it in there. A couple hoses coming down and around over to here. What else did I do? Yeah, front end's pretty much all back together. Rad's in. We've deleted the expansion tank. I got some hoses and pretty much the rest of the stuff to finish this off. Got new coil packs, which turned out to be almost pink. So painting them up here, painting them black, because our old coil packs were super cracked and just fuck yeah, I couldn't in my right mind use them.
Questionable.
Super questionable. But yeah, it's all coming together. That's another thing I did, is the intake's bolted on and it's gonna live there now, hopefully. Don't have to take it off again. Fuel lines are all ready to be hooked up, but because I made all these new AN lines, I was kind of worried about just hooking them up. So I got some fittings to go into these AN lines and some hose, and I'm gonna blast them out with gas before I start up, because I don't want to plug up the freshly serviced injectors. And yeah, so I think on the next video we're gonna be fucking firing them up, boys. And yeah, just a few things. I got some oil and some rad hoses, spark plug leads, just the final stuff. So I'll update you guys on the next video. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm high, be careful, she average. I'm pressure, yeah. I'm pressurelicious, yeah. I'm pressurelicious, yeah.